Betsy Sanders, a former senior vice president and a general manager of Nordstrom, a luxury department store chain in America, once said, "To learn through listening, practice it naively and actively." Naively means that you listen openly, ready to learn something, as opposed to listening defensively, ready to rebut. Listening actively means you acknowledge what you heard and act accordingly. Amazing day, virtual learners. Glad to see you again. How have you been? Join me in another interesting and exciting online learning session. I have a lot of things in store for you today, so lend me your ears and listen thoughtfully. Are you ready to join me in a 40-minute learning escapade? Splendid. To begin with, the most essential learning competency that we will delve on in our learning engagement today is use information from news reports, speeches, informative talks, panel discussions, etc., in everyday conversations and exchanges. Hence, our specific learning objectives are the following. Switch from one listening strategy to another to extract meaning from the listening text. And listen to simplify, reorganize, synthesize, and evaluate information to expand, review, or update knowledge. Mr. Wilfred Tatoy, a master teacher of Malintat National High School, had prepared the module or alternative delivery mode on informational listening that we will explore and study today. But before anything else, don't forget about our netiquette. Be polite and respectful at all times. Comment what is necessary and relevant. And if you're on a shaky ground, feel free to raise your questions or concerns. Nonetheless, for continuous discussion, note that I will be entertaining your queries later in the Q&A part. For the time being, I'd like to feel your presence by typing in the hashtag listen and your name. This will help our moderator and your subject teachers to keep track of your attendance. A pen and a notebook will be very useful in taking note of essential information that you will see and hear in a little while. Clear? That's cool. Since our topic today is informational listening, let's begin by viewing the short video and make sure that you're all ears. Likewise, to guide you in this listening activity, here are the questions that you need to address afterwards. Write them down or take a screenshot of each question. First, what exactly is stress? Are all stress bad? Yes or no? Mention at least one of the common stressors for kids and teens. How do you know when you're feeling stressed? And what are some helpful ways in coping with stress? So those are the details you need to listen for and take note of. Are you ready? Let's watch and listen to this.
Hi friends, welcome to another social emotional learning video from MileMarks. Today, we will be learning all about stress. In this video, you will learn these 3 things. First, you'll learn the definition of stress. Second, you'll learn how stress can affect you. And third, we'll go over helpful ways of coping with stress. Ready? Let's get started. So, what exactly is stress? Picture this. You just got done with dinner, and your mom is upset with you because you still haven't completed all of your chores. After you get them all done, you'll still need to study for the big science quiz that you have tomorrow. Your dog keeps barking at you because she wants to go outside. Your best friend has been calling you all day and is waiting for you to call her back. Your little brother keeps bugging you because you promised him that you play a video game with him after dinner. And you just remembered that you have a 3-page paper that you have to write about the ancient pyramids that will be due first thing tomorrow morning. You have so much going on, and you're not sure if you'll be able to handle it all. You are feeling stressed out. Stress is something you feel when you either have a lot of things going on at once, an important decision to make, an unexpected change in your life, a big event coming up, or when something really dangerous or terrifying happens to you. Stress is something that everyone experiences. Feeling some amount of stress is normal. And get this, not all stress is bad. Sometimes a little stress can even be helpful. It can keep you motivated towards accomplishing a goal and can also make you alert so that you can avoid dangerous situations. When your level of stress gets to be too much, that's when it can turn into a problem. Stress can be caused by many things, and these stressors can be different for everyone. Some common stressors for kids and teens include problems in a relationship or friendship, grades, watching the news, bullying, moving to a new house, getting a new brother or sister, not being very popular, parents arguing, and much more. What are some things that stress you out? It's important to know your stressors so that you can come up with helpful ways of coping when they occur. So, how do you know that you are feeling stressed? Stress affects us all differently. It changes our body, mind, feelings, and behaviors. When you're stressed, you might experience body symptoms such as headaches, a pounding heartbeat, sweating, trouble breathing, feeling shaky, nauseous, having tense muscles, or feeling really low energy. If these changes go on for too long, they can start to harm your body and make you feel sick. Stress can make you become more forgetful and disorganized, and it can make it harder for you to concentrate on the things you need to get done. You can start to have anxious, racing thoughts, and your mind will be focused only on the negatives about your situation. You might feel discouraged and may think about just giving up. Other feelings that come along with stress include sadness, anger, helplessness, or anxiety. Stress can change your mood and make you more irritable toward others. Your behavior usually changes as well when you are going through something very stressful. The amount of food you eat and the amount of sleep you get each night might go way up or way down. You might procrastinate and try to put off doing your work. You may also start avoiding your friends and family members. Some people even start doing dangerous behaviors when they get stressed out. So, what are some helpful ways of coping with stress? Here are 5 things you can do to start managing stress today. Number 1, focus on the things that you can control. Sometimes you don't have much control over the things that happen in your life. There are things that just have to happen, and you'll need to figure out the best way to deal with it. You can do this by focusing on the things you can control in each stressful situation. For example, let's say you have a huge test coming up. There's not much you can do to stop the test from happening, but you can do something to help yourself feel better prepared and less stressed out. You can study, ask the teacher questions, or find someone willing to tutor you. Worrying about the things that you can't control won't change anything, but doing something about the things you can control will. Number 2, manage your time. Sometimes you might just have a lot going on with your schedule. You might be busy with school, sports, clubs, friends, or other activities during the week. If you start feeling stressed out, see if there's a way to lighten your load by cutting out the things that make you feel overwhelmed. Try not to take on too many stressful things at once, and make sure to schedule time to be able to just kick back and relax. You also want to make time for the things, activities, and people that you enjoy. Number 3, take care of your body. Stress can be really bad for your health, so it's a good idea to practice making smart decisions for your body. Be sure to get enough sleep each night and eat healthy foods for each meal. Exercising or being active is another great way to cope with stress. It's not just good for your body, but it can also help to improve your mood. Number 4, Use positive self-talk. Challenge the negative, racing thoughts in your head by using positive self-talk to encourage yourself. The next time you're feeling stressed out, tell yourself things such as, I know I can do it. I'm strong enough to deal with this situation. Or, I know how to handle this. I've been here before. Saying these things to yourself will make you feel more confident about dealing with the stressful situation. Number 5, talk to a friend or adult. It can be easy to just shut down and push people away when you are feeling stressed out. This is not helpful. Reach out to the people who care about you. They'll be willing to help you find ways to start feeling better. If the stress gets to be too much, ask your parents or guardians if you are able to speak with someone, like a counselor, that would be able to help you find healthier ways of coping with stress. There you have it. Now you know all about stress. I hope you learned a lot and you found this information helpful. If you did, make sure to subscribe and like this video to let us know. Look below in the description for more stress management resources for kids and teens. Be sure to also check out our other videos and visit our website at www.milemarks.com for more helpful social emotional content. Have a great day, friends.
And that's about it. Were you able to get the details I asked you to gather? Great. Let's discuss your answers. If you paid attention and really listened well, I bet you know the answers to these questions. First, what exactly is stress? Do you know what is it? Press the heart emoji. According to the video, stress happens when you have a lot of things going on at once. An important decision to make, an unexpected change in your life, a big event coming up, or if something really dangerous or terrifying happens to you. Next question is, are all stress bad? Key in the thumbs up emoji if you agree and thumbs down if you don't. A little stress can even be helpful because it can keep you motivated in accomplishing a goal or can help you avoid dangerous situations. Stress only becomes bad when the level is too high for you. You were also asked to mention at least one of the common stressors for kids and teens. Comment your answer below. The common stressors for kids and teens are the following: problems in a relationship or friendship, grades, watching the news, bullying, moving to a new house, getting a new brother or sister, not being very popular, parents arguing, and many more. And how do you know when you're feeling stressed? You might feel one or most of the symptoms below: headaches, a pounding heartbeat, sweating, trouble breathing, feeling shaky, nauseous, tense muscles, or feeling really low energy. And if these changes go on for too long, they can start to harm your body and make you feel sick. So be self-aware. And lastly, what are some helpful ways in coping with stress? Were you able to write them down? Well, here are the ways in coping with stress. Number 1, focus on the things that you can control. Number 2, manage your time. Number 3, take care of your body. 4, use positive self-talk. And 5, talk to a friend or adult. So don't get stressed by stress. If you're able to answer most of the questions, you do have good listening skills. Previously, we dealt with information literacy. Let's revisit what this is about. Information literacy, or to be information literate, a person must be able to recognize when information is needed and have the ability to locate, evaluate, and use effectively the needed information, which I believe is relevant to informational listening that we are going to give emphasis today. In relation to information literacy, we also talked about the sources of information that we can utilize to gather details that we need. Let's recall some of them. News, a packaged information on current events. This is information about recently changed situation or a recent event that can be sourced out through print medias and other electronic devices. Speech. A speech is a formal address or discourse delivered in front of an audience. It may be informative or persuasive. Persuasive speaking is the type of speaking that most people engage in the most. This type of speech can involve almost everything from arguing about politics to talking about what to eat for dinner. While informative speaking generally centers on talking about people, events, processes, places, or things. We can also get information from a panel discussion. It involves a group of people gathered to discuss a topic in front of an audience, typically at scientific, business, or academic conferences, fan conventions, and on television shows. It is a live or virtual discussion about a specific topic amongst a selected group of panelists who share differing or opposing perspectives in front of a large audience. We can actually get a lot of learnings from watching and listening to the viewpoints of the panelists. Being aware of these sources of information, along with other platforms, is significant in the process of informational listening. I have been mentioning about informational listening, but let's first define the big idea, listening. According to skillsyouneed.com, listening is the ability to accurately receive and interpret messages in the communication process. Listening is the key or is key to all effective communication. Without the ability to listen effectively, messages are easily misunderstood. As a result, communication breaks down and the sender of the message can easily become frustrated or irritated. If there is one communication skill you should aim to master, then listening is it. You have to keep in mind that listening is not the same as hearing. Hearing refers to the sounds that enter your ears. It is a physical process that, provided you do not have any hearing problems, happens automatically. Listening, however, requires more than that. It requires focus and concentrated effort, both mental and sometimes physical as well. Listening means paying attention not only to the story, but how it is told, the use of language and voice, and how the other person uses his or her body. In other words, it means being aware of both verbal and non-verbal messages, Your ability to listen effectively depends on the degree to which you perceive and understand these messages. Listening is not a passive process. In fact, the listener can and should be at least as engaged in the process as the speaker. The phrase active listening is used to describe this process of being fully involved. Most people, most of the time, take listening for granted. It's something that's happened naturally. It is only when you stop to think about listening and what it entails that you begin to realize that listening is in fact an important skill that needs to be nurtured and developed amongst the other macro skills. Now that you're aware how important listening is, let's talk about the types of listening. Listening is divided into two general types: discriminative and comprehensive listening. Discriminative listening is first developed at a very early age, perhaps even before birth in the womb. This is the most basic form of listening and does not involve the understanding of the meaning of words or phrases, but merely the different sounds that are produced. In early childhood, for example, a distinction is made between the sounds of the voices of the parents. The voice of the father sounds different to that of the mother. Discriminative listening develops through childhood and into adulthood. As we grow older and developed and gain more life experiences, our ability to distinguish between different sounds is improved. Not only can we recognize different voices, but we also develop the ability to recognize subtle differences in the way that sounds are made. This is fundamental to ultimately understanding what these sounds mean. Differences include many subtleties, recognizing foreign languages, distinguishing between regional accents, and clues to the emotions and feelings of the speaker. Being able to distinguish the subtleties of sound made by somebody who is happy or sad, angry or stressed, for example, ultimately adds value to what is actually being said and, of course, does aid comprehension. When discriminative listening skills are combined with visual stimuli, the resulting ability to listen to body language enables us to begin to understand the speaker more fully. For example, recognizing somebody is sad despite what they are saying or how they are saying it. Let's have an example. Imagine yourself surrounded by people who are speaking a language that you cannot understand. Perhaps passing through an airport in another country. You can probably distinguish between different voices, male and female, young and old, and also gain some understanding about what is going on around you based on the tone of the voice, mannerism, and body language of the other people. You are not understanding what is being said, but using discriminative listening to gain some level of comprehension of your surroundings. On the other hand, when we say comprehensive listening, it involves understanding the message or messages that are being communicated. In order to be able to use comprehensive listening and therefore gain understanding, the listener first needs appropriate vocabulary and language skills. Using overly complicated language or technical jargon, therefore, can be a barrier to comprehensive listening. Comprehensive listening is further complicated by the fact that two different people listen to the same thing may understand the message in two different ways. This problem can be multiplied in a group setting, like in a classroom or business meeting, where numerous different meanings can be derived from what is or what has been said. Comprehensive listening is complemented by sub-messages from non-verbal communication, such as the tone of the voice, gestures, and other body language. These nonverbal signals can greatly aid communication and comprehension, but can also confuse and potentially lead to misunderstanding. In many listening situations, it is vital to seek clarification and use skills such as reflection aid comprehension. Again, the two types of listening are discriminative and comprehensive listening. Discriminative, most basic form of listening, and does not involve the understanding of the meaning of words or phrases, but merely the different sounds that are produced. Comprehensive listening, listening that involves understanding of the messages or message that are being communicated. Can you now identify the two main types of listening? Press the heart emoticon. Moving forward, let's now talk about the specific listening types where informational listening falls on. The three main types of listening most common in interpersonal communication, where there is an exchange of information between two or more people, are informational listening, listening to learn; critical listening, listening to evaluate and analyze; therapeutic or empathic listening, listening to understand feeling and emotion. In reality, you may have more than one goal for listening at any given time. For example, you may be listening to learn while also attempting to be empathic. Let's discuss critical listening. Critical listening, we can be said to be engaged in critical listening when the goals is to evaluate or scrutinize what is being said. Critical listening is a much more active behavior than informational listening and usually involves some sort of problem solving or decision making. Critical listening is akin to critical reading. Both involve analysis of the information being received and alignment with what we already know or believe. Whereas informational listening may be mostly concerned with receiving facts and or new information. Critical listening is about analyzing opinion and making a judgment. Next is therapeutic listening or empathic listening. Empathic listening involves attempting to understand the feelings and emotions of the speaker. to put yourself into the speaker's shoes and share their thoughts. Empathy is a way of deeply connecting with another person, and therapeutic or empathic listening can be particularly challenging. Empathy is not the same as sympathy. It involves more than being compassionate or feeling sorry for somebody else. It involves a deeper connection, a realization, and understanding of another person's point of view. And lastly, informational listening. Whenever you listen to learn something, you are engaged in informational listening. This is true in many day-to-day situations, in education, and at work. When you listen to the news, watch a documentary, when a friend tells you a recipe, or when you are talked through a technical problem with a computer, there are many other examples of informational listening too. Although all types of listening are active, they require concentration and a conscious effort to understand. Informational listening is less active than many of the other types of listening. When we are listening to learn or be instructed, we are taking in new information and facts. We are not criticizing or analyzing. Informational listening, especially in formal settings like in work meetings or while in education, is often accompanied by note taking, a way of recording key information so that it can be reviewed later. Going back to the video that I asked you to watch and listen to get some information on how to manage stress, the type of listening you employed was informational listening. For the reason that your goal is to take new information and facts, accompanied by note taking, a way of recording key information so that you'll be able to answer the questions posted at the beginning of the video. Is everything clear? Wonderful. Aside from what has been mentioned, there are other listening types that you need to be conscious about. We have listening for gist. Listening for gist is when you listen in order to understand the main idea of the text. Next is listening for specific information. You want to find out specific details, for example, keywords. And listening for detailed understanding. You want to understand all the information the text provides. Let's recap. Specific types of listening are as follows. Informational listening, listening to learn. Critical listening, listening to evaluate and analyze. Therapeutic or empathic listening, listening to understand feeling and emotion. Other listening types are listening for G's, for specific information, and for detailed understanding. Keep that in mind. If you want to read more about listening, visit www.skillsyouneed.com and www.learning-english-online.net. To encapsulate everything, let me share with you the purposes of listening. Number one, to specifically focus on the messages being communicated, avoiding distractions and preconceptions. Number two, to gain a full and accurate understanding into the speaker's point of view and ideas. Number 3, to critically assess what is being said. 4, to observe the non-verbal signals accompanying what is being said to enhance understanding. 5, to show interest, concern, and concentration. Number 6, to encourage the speaker to communicate fully, openly, and honestly. 7, to develop a selfless approach, putting the speaker first, and finally, to arrive at a shared and agreed understanding and acceptance of both side views. For your queries and clarifications, just simply type your questions, if there is any, on the comment section, and I will try my best to address them. You have a minute to send us your questions, and our teacher moderator will be gathering them. I will be right back after 60 seconds. And your time is up. I will now be reading the questions you have posted in the comment section. Thank you to our teacher moderator for gathering the questions. The questions, which will not be addressed today, will be answered and discussed by your subject teacher in the follow-up discussion tomorrow. The first inquiry is from Maysan National High School. Why is listening so important? Listening serves a number of possible purposes, and the purpose of listening will depend on the situation and the nature of the communication. Most importantly, listening is the one skill that you use the most in everyday life. A learner from Wawang Pulo National High School also sent a question. What do you mean in saying to listen actively? Listening comprehension is the basis for your speaking, writing, and reading skills. To train your listening skills, it is important to listen actively, which means to actively pay attention to what you are listening to. Make it a habit to listen to audiobooks, podcasts, news songs, etc., and to watch videos and films in the foreign language. And finally, a question from Karuhatan National High School. Do we spend a lot of time listening? Adults spend an average of 70% of their time engaged in some sort of communication. Of this, research shows that an average of 45% is spent listening compared to 30% speaking, 16% reading, and 9% writing, according to Adler R, and others 2001. That is, by any standards, a lot of time listening. It is worthwhile, therefore, taking a bit of extra time to ensure that you listen effectively. Our learners have posted thought-provoking questions today. Again, those which have not been addressed yet will be discussed thoroughly by your English teachers during your follow-up discussion tomorrow. Thank you for sending us your questions. Those are really good ones. I am happy that I'm able to capture your interest and share new learnings to you. I am now confident that you will be able to answer all the succeeding tasks and the assessment in your ADM. Be ready to answer the pretest, which will gauge what you already know about the lesson. The different tasks which focus on listening activities and the assessment which will evaluate everything that you have learned in today's session. Read the instructions carefully. You can watch the replay if you want to look at the important points of today's discussion. Ask help to your parent or guardian when necessary. Enjoy the process of learning. Your English teachers will be checking on your progress in your follow-up discussion via Facebook Messenger, Microsoft Teams, and Google Meet. They will be there ready to elaborate and explain further if you miss something, and they will help you process your outputs in each activity of the module. Once again, I am Sir Noelito Reyes, your live streaming teacher. Thank you for watching. Tune in again in our next Valenzuela Live. Let me leave you a quote from Dr. Rachel Naomi Remen. The most basic and powerful way to connect to another person is to listen. Just listen. Perhaps the most important thing we ever give each other is our attention. That concludes our day. Stay home, stay safe. God bless everyone. Bye.